Thanks, Lawlor. Lawlor, first of all, I'd like to congratulate yourself on your elevation to the position, and also to the Minister on her election to the position of, and she has a daunting task ahead of her. And I would also like to wish the Taoiseach, Deputy Enda Kenny, all the best with his ministerial colleagues in trying to pull this country out of the mire that we're in at the moment. As this is my first speech, I would like to personally thank my wife Margaret for her support towards me during my election campaign, my family, my friends, my Fine Gael, the Fine Gael members, and also the people of the North Kildare constituency who gave me the responsibility of being their representative here in Dáil Éireann. I would like to let them know that I will do whatever I can to raise the issues that are concerned to them, and also ensure that issues that are important to the country are brought to the fore in this Dáil. I must say also that I would like to thank very much Deputy McGrath and Deputy Dan Neville, who is here today, for bringing this topic here to the Dáil. I think it's vitally important that one of the issues that is not dealt with suicide, is that people don't communicate and talk about it. I think that when people are in the black hole, that they don't see any light at the end of the tunnel, the one thing they want to do is to be able to talk to someone about it. And yet people shun individuals who may be in this state of depression. I also like to think that people have to realise that the stigma that has been associated with people who take their own lives has to be removed. Whether that stigma is associated with families or is associated with the religious orders. It is vitally important that we remove the stigma that is associated with people who take their own lives and give them the burial and dignity that they deserve. My own experience of suicide comes about that on the morning of the election, a young woman came into my office and sat down and talked to me. She had lost her brother through suicide about a year beforehand, and she cried in front of me and tried to explain to me the pain that her and her family were going through. She indicated to me that in the previous 9 months before he took his life, he was going through depression. And no matter what people said to him, he couldn't see any light out of the black hole that he was in. The other reason is that my wife, Margaret, is a volunteer counsellor with Pieta House. And it was through that organisation that when I visited a number of weeks ago, that I learnt of the seriousness in which they find themselves in with regard to funding. It's amazing that the RSA are allocated 45 million each year for the prevention of road accidents on the road. And yet, there's only 5 million allocated from the HSE to the prevention of suicide. Yet there are almost 2 people per week take their own lives through suicide. Many car accidents, of which approximately 38% are single road fatalities, could also be associated with people taking their own lives. Okay.
Very short time.
Okay. Within the whole area of suicide, there are a number of organisations who care for people. Aware makes all of us aware of what's going on before people commit suicide. Console is for the families of the bereaved. But I must say, an organisation such as Pieta House are for those people who are on the verge of committing suicide. I have met with the director there, Joan Freeman, and I've acknowledged the fact that when I went into the reception area, the one thing that struck me was the fact that most of the signs were about fundraising. I would encourage all deputies in early May to take what is known as the walk from darkness into light and raise as much funding as possible for those people who are listening to people who are on the verge of committing suicide. Thank you very much.
Could I also congratulate Deputy Paddy Coffey, Deputy Brian Welch, Deputy Angela on their first address to the Chamber.